Cool, thank you. I speak pretty loudly, so if you can everyone in the back hear me? Yeah? Okay, cool. So I'll go without the mic if that's okay with you guys. I have this awful habit of speaking really quickly sometimes, so if I'm doing that, please stop me. If you can't understand what I'm saying because I'm eating my words, let me know. So my name is Anastasia Leng. I've been at Google for about 5 years, and I work on new initiatives, which is quite an ambiguous title, but basically means I help Google do things that have never been done before, things that are early stage initiatives and partnerships. And over the past couple of years, what I've been focused on are a lot of our commerce initiatives, our entrepreneurship initiatives, and everything that has to do with Eastern Europe. And so one of the things I want to talk to you today is what we're doing in the range of entrepreneurship. So everyone knows the story of Google and how Google went from being a very small startup to arguably a much bigger startup. But that came with a whole set of challenges. And one of the things that we saw as we got bigger as a company is that more of our employees were coming to their managers and were coming to our VPs and saying, why isn't Google doing more to give back to startups? We were a startup once, we know what it was like to struggle, and now that we're in a big company, we have this opportunity to really help, and we don't think we're doing enough. And when Larry stepped up to take the CEO job, he said, actually, I agree, we're not doing enough here. And so as a result of this, a new team was born, a team called the Global Entrepreneurship Team. This is a team based in Mountain View. It's led by a brilliant woman named Mary Himmenkool, who was actually in Krakow for the first time on Monday, but she couldn't be with her today. We do have her representative, Bridget, who's also on the Global Entrepreneurship Team. I'm sure you guys saw Bridget on the panel yesterday. So as we started this team, we thought about, how do we make global entrepreneurship is not something that Google's ever really done before. So how do we create this team, which was effectively a startup for us, in the spirit of everything else that we've done at Google with the same spirit of innovation embedded into it? So what I want to talk to you guys about today is, A, how we started this team, which was a startup for us, and what are some of the initiatives that we're doing, and embed that with some of the major principles that we believe startups should keep in the back of their mind as they're thinking about how to innovate. This is not only just for entrepreneurs and for startups, also for people who are in big companies and who are trying to innovate internally within a bigger, arguably sometimes more bureaucratic framework. So the first thing is, have a mission. I think this is obvious. Google has stuck to its mission for the past 10 plus years. And even when we launch things that arguably seem a little outside of scope, they all come back to the same mission, which is organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. So the mission for the Global Entrepreneurship Team is to organize, develop, and scale Google's efforts to empower entrepreneurs all around the world. And the way we do this is through partnerships, programs, and product. And when I say product, it's not about taking and creating new products for entrepreneurs. It is about taking our existing products and reframing them in a way that we can actually make them useful for entrepreneurs. So things like AdWords, analytics, et cetera, weren't really designed with entrepreneurs in mind as the key audience at first. But over time, we realized that people were using them in very different and creative ways, and we needed to articulate that more and help other entrepreneurs learn and figure out how to use those products to make their businesses more successful, test their assumptions, et cetera. For us, focus on the user, right? This is really important. This is one of the first screenshots of the Google search engine. And the reason why I like to show this is, now it seems really archaic and obsolete. But back at the time, this was a revelation. If you remember a lot of the other older search engines that were around the time Google launched, their pages were cluttered with information. And actually, it was very hard to determine where was the search engine versus what were the ads, what was from the company, and what was a paid advertisement. And Google decided, you know what, we're not going to focus on making money first. We're just going to launch a product that focuses on the user. So for entrepreneurship, it's the same thing. The people in this room today, you guys are effectively our users when it comes to entrepreneurship programs. And we want to hear from you about what's working, what isn't, what else we can do as a company to help you guys, because this is increasingly something we're paying attention to. I want to be clear as to what we are not, right? So we are not an investment arm and an investment vehicle. We do have a team in Mountain View called the Google Ventures team, but currently they do not invest outside of the US. So we are trying to put together these scalable programs that will help people around the world, and we want you guys to help us figure out what are the other opportunities that we should be seizing. One of our biggest philosophies is around being open and sharing everything. This is a big bet we took with Android, and I remember at the time that Android launched, a lot of people actually criticized and made fun of Google for going forward with this open approach. But at the end, we found that it worked because we were able to motivate the developer community in such a way that they created and built on top of this platform in a way we never thought possible. So how are we applying this to entrepreneurship? We recently launched something in London called Campus. Have you guys heard of Campus? Anyone? Okay, very few people. Okay, so Campus is a very interesting experiment for Google, and everything here is really an experiment for us, right? I really do look at this team like a startup. If a building could be open sourced, Campus would be an open source building. So what we've done with Campus is we've basically taken out a 10-year lease on a 7th-floor building in East London. And we're filling it up with partners who are adding value and creating their own programs within East London. For each market that we focus on, we realize the challenges are different. So the challenges in London for startups were twofold. One, real estate is really expensive, prohibitively expensive. Not even for permanent real estate, but also to host an event. And secondly, while there are lots of great organizations that are already committed to helping startups, whether they're VCs or accelerators, they're all disconnected, right? London's a big place. I live in London now. I've been there for 3.5 years. It's a huge place. So one of the things we wanted to do was get everyone under the same roof so we could be better at making these serendipity moments happen. You could bump into people every day in the cafe, in the event space, and actually start these conversations that previously were much less frequent. For you guys, one of the things you can do is you can actually go to the campus website and sign up to be a campus member. What this means is you'll get updates about things we're doing and all of that. But also, when you're in London, we encourage you to stop by. The lower ground floor in campus is a cafe space, and it's open to everyone, everyone in the entrepreneurship startup community. One of the things we want campus to be is we want it to be that, if you're in London for one day and you're in the tech community, campus should be that one place that you go to get everything you need. And it's very much the view behind for entrepreneurs as well. We want them to go to campus and be able to meet investors, get a network, find potentially some new hires. This is not something that, it's not called Google Campus, and that's for a reason. This is really about the community. And actually, Google recruiters aren't even allowed to set foot in this building because this isn't about taking talent and poaching it to startups. This is really about trying to bring the community together and empower them. And actually, I will preemptively answer a question that we get a lot, which is, why is Google doing this? Like, are you guys just looking to acquire more companies, or what's really in it for you? And the answer is that, there really is, in the long term, of course, there's value for us, right? As more companies go on the web and create value, create content, we hope they'll become AdWords users, which is the core of our business. But in the short term, no, this is not a way for us to poach employees. This is not a way for us to source new investments. We already think, we're doing pretty good on the investment front. So this is really just about trying to empower a community and add value in a way that we think we can. The fourth principle is think big, but start small. I think this is something you guys have heard a lot about today, right? Launch quickly, iterate, see what works, see what people are responding to, and go from there. Test your assumptions quickly. I do a lot of work in Russia, and one of the things that's really stuck with me is I had an entrepreneur once tell me that too much time goes by before he's told that his ideas are crap. And I think that's really interesting feedback and actually very demotivating for a lot of entrepreneurs. So one of the things we've tried to do is actually apply that to the way we launch our entrepreneurship programs. So the next thing I'm going to tell you about is a program called Bono. Who here has heard of Bono? Yeah, okay. Some very loyal Google followers. So Bono is South Africa's first accelerator program. It is a Google-powered accelerator. And the vision and the philosophy behind Bono is we saw a lot of potential in the emerging markets, in sub-Saharan Africa and Middle East and North Africa. But we wanted to test our assumptions about, can we actually help these entrepreneurs? Is there as much talent as we think? And we wanted to do something across the entire region, but we decided to start smaller. So we launched this program called Bono. The way Bono works is we found 5 angel investors that were already investing in their own capacity independently in South Africa, and we brought them all together. We created this program by which they select the startups, they bring them into a 3+3 program, so 3 months of extensive acceleration, the way Springboard works, many of the accelerators you guys are familiar with, and 3 months of just physical space while they're finding their next steps and going on to the next program. And for us, the key here was let's try and solve the problem of funding. That's a big problem in South Africa because while you have access to money, oftentimes the money you get for the equity that's taken isn't really very fair and equitable. And what we've done is we've actually put our money where our mouth is. So for every investment that the angel investors make, we will actually match it. We don't take equity in return, but we match the investment to invest even more in that startup to help it succeed. So this has been launched for a year. We've only helped about 6 startups so far, right? So the impact, we started really small, but we found very quickly what's working, what isn't, what the startups like, and now we're thinking about how do we actually expand this program across the rest of the emerging markets. 5 is fail fast. Again, something you guys have heard a lot about. And at Google, our social journey is very much an experiment in failing fast. I think we would not be where we are with Google Plus today were it not for all the lessons we learned through failing across all these other social products. And one organization that we're supporting very actively that really takes this philosophy and principle of fail fast and applying it very on a practical level is Startup Weekend. So I think everyone is really familiar with the work Startup Weekend is doing. It's amazing what can be done in just over 48 hours. I don't know if you guys have ever been to a hackathon. I highly encourage it. I went to my first Startup Weekend event. I've been to a bunch of other hackathons, but I went to my first Startup Weekend event about 6 months ago. And the amount of adrenaline and energy in the room and how much people can really accomplish in such a short time frame is unbelievable. So a lot of people are saying hackathons are the new accelerators, right? There's no better way to see if you can get people to get excited in your idea, you can get customers to test it, you can see if you can actually build a prototype than a really intense 48-hour nonstop marathon. So what are we doing with Startup Weekend? We've made some financial contributions to Startup Weekend in order to help them scale globally. We think this is really important. We want them to do these events in more cities to get entrepreneurs to test their assumptions. So we're helping them scale globally. We're helping them build out an infrastructure that will help them measure where their startups are actually going after they participate in this hackathon. One of the success stories that made me really happy at the Startup Weekend I attended is one of their global sponsors at the last event was actually a company that was born in one of the first Startup Weekend hackathons about 2 years ago. So in 2 years, they've come to a point where they could actually become a global sponsor, which I think is a great success story. The 6th one is, be a platform and float all boats. This is the belief that, yes, competition is healthy and it's good, but it's also important to empower those around you. So every initiative that we take is not about Google going in and doing its own thing. It's about finding the right partners in that market and trying to empower them to do more of the great work they're already doing. This is just a snapshot of all the local partners that we have. And so one of the things we're trying to understand as we go into each market is what are the challenges in that specific market and take a different based approach, right? Google's scale, the way we normally talk about scale, is really hard when it comes to entrepreneurship because all these markets are very different and all the needs that entrepreneurs have are often not the same. So I want to get to the last point, which I think is the most important one, which is that ideas come from anywhere. This is something that I think Dave mentioned yesterday when he was talking about being Google Recruiter back in the day, that when we hired people years ago, it wasn't about hiring a marketer. It wasn't about hiring an engineer. It was about hiring people that were passionate about something, that were good at a range of things, and that could step into a range of roles as Google grew and expanded. And again, Google constantly, we have this internal tool called Ideas, where anyone can submit feature requests, product things they could do, so that the ideas and the product innovation isn't just coming from our engineers. And there are a few things that we've done to try and really apply this principle to entrepreneurship. If you look at a lot of the entrepreneurs around the world, they all look the same. And so what I mean by that is most of them are white males. And that's not because, I believe, most of the good ideas come from white males. And sorry for the white males in this room. It's often because I believe that oftentimes in other groups, there's either a greater perceived risk or there isn't enough support, and that's really something we want to address. So one of the things we've done is a partnership with NUMI Accelerator. So NUMI Accelerator is an accelerator based in the US, and they really focus underrepresented groups get into technology. And the way we've helped them is through mentorship, hosting their pitch events and things like that, and really trying to get them the support that they need. We've also done this with women. So currently about 3% of all startups have a woman founder. And I think this is a huge, huge opportunity for women. Because if you look at a lot, women have so much spending power on the web. If you look at a lot of the industries that haven't been infused with the tech revolution, they're industries that women know a lot about. So think of like the childcare market and the wedding industry. These are billion-dollar industries, very little tech innovation. And I think it's because women know a lot about the stuff and they just haven't stepped up. Men aren't really interested as much in the wedding stuff. But again, there are lots of industries like that where a woman's touch and a technological infusion could make a big difference and actually be a huge revenue opportunity. So everyone knows that it's never been a more exciting time to be an entrepreneur. But I think one of the things that people don't often talk about is that it's never been a more exciting time to be an entrepreneur in Eastern Europe. And that's for a few reasons. There are lots of market dynamics that make it a great time to be an entrepreneur here. Decreasing cost of broadband, increasing mobile penetration. You guys know all this stuff. There's also, a ton of tech talent here. So one of the things I look at constantly is coding competitions and who's winning the coding awards that are happening across the world. And if you look at the top 10 list of winners, a lot of them come from Eastern Europe. And this is something that we've realized. And because we believe that Google ideas come from everywhere and can come from anywhere, we want to start paying more attention and helping entrepreneurs in Eastern Europe succeed. So over the next 3 weeks, we'll be making an announcement about how we hope to be supporting entrepreneurs in this region. I'm sorry I can't say more about it today. We're finalizing some details. But look out for an announcement over the next 3 weeks about exactly how we'll be helping out and how we hope to be supporting you guys here. So that's it. Thank you very much for coming out for the earliest session of the day. Questions? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the committee for Global Entrepreneurship Week for Poland, and are you looking for local partners here in Poland and in different countries in Central Eastern Europe? Like, what can we do to help you deliver this or make this happen here in Poland?
I think we're always looking for local partners. I think one of the things we want to do is empower local partners, right? I think we put the onus a bit on you. I come to these markets all the time to try and understand what these needs are. But if you have something that this input from Google would really help you guys, let us know. Often it becomes a resource issue for us. As I mentioned, the teams are very small. Mary and Bridget are the only people on the Global Entrepreneurship Team right now, so we are a startup, and I'm their EMEA-based representative, even though I technically sit on another team. So let us know what kind of things can help. I think especially one of the things we try to do is empower the employees in the local offices to contribute to these efforts, whether by acting as mentors or doing presentations or whatever it is that you need. So just, grab me and let me know what you think can help.
So when you say empower the employees in the local offices, you mean Google employees here in Poland?
Yeah, Google employees in Poland or in Russia or whatever. So, and a lot of them are already doing this in a personal capacity, but we want to empower them to do it also in their professional capacity and make it easy for them, right? So we're trying to encourage managers to encourage their employees to go out and mentor, right? And really give back to the community in that way. Anything else?
Could you tell a bit more about the South African?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
How it works, because it's the first accelerator we are running.
Yeah, which is, it's funny. So the Bono program was launched, about a year and a half ago, but it'd been in the works for about 3 years. We'd worked on it for a really long time, and Google was very heavily involved in setting that up. And one of the lessons was, we made it work, and we had lots of good partners, but our forte is not setting up accelerator programs, right? We are not an accelerator company. So the way Bono works is we found these 5 angels. There's an investment committee, and the angels choose what companies to invest in. So they have complete carte blanche in their investment decisions. Once they choose and they have a strong majority vote, Google will match their investment up to $25,000, although we don't get any equity. So effectively, the startups get double the amount of money for the same amount of equity. They get mentorship. We've connected them with with Googlers around the world. So they're on Hangouts all the time with Googlers from Zurich and Mountain View. And one of the big reasons we did that is we found that in the emerging markets, much less so than Europe, people had very few opportunities to speak to investors and mentors outside of their market. So that's another gap we wanted to solve. Anyone else?
Some kind of support of local business angels or?
Yeah. But one of the things for that, it was those angels were always there and they were doing work. They just weren't connected, right? So we brought them all around the same table. And it's funny because we went to them and we met with them individually, and we had a list of all the angels we wanted to reach out to. We made a list of about 30 angels that we wanted to bring on. Our target was 5. And the first 5 we met, we said, look, we're doing this program. We want to bring these 5 angels together. And the first 5 we went after said, yes, absolutely. And for the angels, it's a great deal, right? Because they get all the equity, but their startups get double the money. So,
Are you going to set up such an initiative?
Yeah, so
Somewhere else?
we're talking about it now. I think one of the lessons we learned from Bono is because of the amount of time it took us to set that up, which was a very long period of time, we find that in most markets, there are already partners who are doing this. So for example, for campus, one of our partners is Springboard, John Bradford's accelerator, and they're already doing this. We're giving them some physical space in campus, we're helping them with mentors, we're helping them find event space. So I think our approach is going to be more the latter. Let's try and find good local partners and empower them and enable them to do more rather than launch programs that will kind of compete with them.
So this is some kind of customer discovery now, how it works in South Africa,
Yeah, all of these are pilots, right? All of these are experiments, right? Yeah.
You mentioned you're a startup.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so the goal is, one of the things we want to do is maybe probably in like 6 to 8 months from now, sit down, look at all these programs and try and understand what's working, what isn't, what makes sense to scale, and what is better done by our partners that, isn't really our position to do. So we're still figuring that out. Yeah.
So when talking about campus or in general, if you look at I should probably ask a question. Anyway, what I really needed when I went to San Francisco to the Summit of Business there was no technical help scaling protocols, rather be something legal, establishing legal entities in the United States and stuff like that. Would your program also kind of include these kind of stuff? Or?
Yeah, so at campus, one of the things I'm focusing on at, campus, we have one person who's based at campus. He's our head of campus. His name is Easy Vidra. If you're ever passing through London, let me know. I'll introduce you guys. I'm there 2 days a week. So one of the things I'm focusing on for campus right now is building a really strong educational curriculum. And on top of that, having days where we have 5 law firms come to campus to give legal advice. We have accounting firms come to campus to give you advice on, how to set up your balance sheet. So we're trying to do that in London because we do have this physical space and we can actually bring a lot of people in. Every Friday is Googler office hours. So every Friday we have different topics. We just had our first one 2 Fridays. Campus has only been open for 10 weeks, by the way. So it's a relatively new initiative too. In those 10 weeks, we've had like 6 hackathons, so it's really busy, but it's very new. So every Friday is Googler office hours. So we just had Android, we're gonna have Chrome and all these other topics, but we have business topics as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Anything else? No? No? No one's gonna try and get more details out of me about the announcement? No? Okay, fine. Could have said more, but I won't. No, I'm kidding. Okay, cool. Well, thanks again for coming out, and sorry Poland drew. I was hoping for a win, but next time. Thanks, guys.